just came out with this new killer, the Legion, in the public testing beta, whatever, and he's really fun. I love him, but he's very underpowered, and there need to be a couple of changes to make him viable without making him someone who's capable of just hunting one person down and killing them, because the cool thing about the Legion is that his power allows him to get everyone on the whole map at the same time instead of having to focus. And I really want that to be the emphasis on this killer, is that he's unlike any other killer. Nurse, you blink to someone, you blink to them again, you get them down, put them on a hook. You know, every other killer has something similar to that, where you want to get one person, get them on a hook, and then guard the hook or go for gens. This killer has a completely new way of playing, and there needs to be some changes to make that way of playing viable. What I think needs to happen is that the deep wound bar that decreases needs to always decrease unless you are currently being chased or being mended by someone else. The point of that being is that if the killer hits you once and doesn't hit you again and you get away, you're going to have plenty of bar left to just mend yourself. But if he hits you twice, now you have to make a choice, because you might not have enough bar left to mend yourself, so you have to go seek the help of someone else to stop your mend thing from going down and to be able to heal you. The second thing that should be with that change is that however much mending you do get done should go into your recovery for when you're on the floor. So if you mend yourself almost all the way, but it's not quite enough before you run out, then if an ally shows up, they only have that much to heal you. That way there's a point to mending yourself even if you don't have enough time. There's a point to trying. That way it's not just a wasted effort. So there's some balance there. The other thing about having to rely on others to fix your mending is that it gives survivors a reason to group up with each other against the Legion, because as it is, the hard counter to Legion is just not grouping up, ever. And so you don't have to group up to mend yourself, but you might. And this allows for intelligent counterplay from the survivors and the killer juggling, should they be together, should they not be together, is that going to help or hinder the whole progression of what's going on. The second change that I think would help the killer do his job and incentivize him from just going after the same person is that every time the deep wound effect is applied on a new target, doesn't already have it, it should increase the length of his frenzy, including the very first time. So if he frenzies, hits some fresh target, and it immediately refreshes, that duration is a bit longer, allowing him to focus on going after someone else instead of the same person again. And then when he hits the second person, he'll have an even longer frenzy that he can then use to try to get a third person who's maybe further away and take some time to run to, or at least he'll get towards the area where that person is to apply pressure immediately over there. That way the map pressure is constant. The drawback is that the two people who already hit can mend themselves or just mend each other. And the point being is that now they're wasting time off the gens, and that's what makes this killer good, is that he's going to be slowing down gens, giving himself enough time to chase people and get them on hooks. So then, of course, this extended time needs to refresh as soon as the frenzy does finally end. And then the other change that needs to happen is that injured people. So if you are already injured and you get hit by the deep wound effect from his special attack, it doesn't really have any effect. It's just as if you were already healed. So there's no point to heal yourself against this killer. But if we make these changes, then there's a bit more of a reason, because what we can do is that if you're already injured and you don't have the effect on you and the effect is applied to you, the bar starts at half progress. So now the killer can hit you again and it'll make your timer very low, which means you won't have time to heal yourself and you'll need someone else to do it for you. Or with good add-ons, the killer might hit you twice and you actually just go down, which makes him able to chase people, especially the injured, which gives you a reason to actually heal yourself against the Legion and makes the Legion so much more viable at actually getting hooks with his ability. And it's balanced because the first time you hit someone from healthy into injured state with the ability, they're going to get that status effect, which means that if you hit them, it just makes their bar go down, not very effective. But if they mend themselves, which takes a while, and you come back and they're still injured and they haven't healed yet, then you can chase them again and then they go down. The point being is that a good killer is going to go after all 4 survivors, so all of them are injured, all of them have to mend, because otherwise they'll go on the floor, and that allows you to come back to the first survivor and go after them and get them on the hook. At this point, you've hooked someone, everyone else spent all this time healing, they're all to full again, but you have someone on the hook and potentially no gens done, which is a power no other killer has. This killer can actually run without ruin at high ranks and be able to be really good and really viable, and that sounds a ton of fun because the whole time Legion's not going to be focusing on the same person, they're going to be running and chasing all the time, that's what's fun. There's still plenty of room for you to simply hide from them because the scratch marks are hidden when they're in their frenzy, so there's a lot of juke potential, there's a lot of ability to just kind of run around in circles and lose them, so there's a lot of smart counterplay that can be had, and a lot of mind games that can happen once people finally figure out how to use them, and these changes are made to make them viable. So I hope that the devs see this, or at least they do this even without seeing this, because I feel like this is the simplest and best way to make this killer fun, viable, and not broken, because any changes that make him better at tunneling the same person, which is what a lot of people want, is going to be bad. You don't want another killer that can just go after the same person. That's not the point of the Legion. The Legion is so fun and so interesting and cool because they're the first killer whose strategy is to go against everyone instead of one person. It is very different than what most killers do in Dead by Daylight, so I understand a lot of people in the community aren't expecting that and don't want that because they're just not used to it, but honestly, it's what I want because that's how I play my killers. I hate camping hooks. I do it because sometimes I just want to win, and it always feels dirty. I always feel like I'm doing something wrong. You know, I try to avoid camping whenever possible because it just isn't fun for me, and I know it isn't fun for the survivor on the hook. No one wants to get one hook. No, people don't even want to get two hooked. We want 3 hooks because that's the most fun experience. And with this new killer, you can viably give everyone that chance to be hooked 3 times while giving everyone a fun strategy game. Do I go for the save? Do I go for the gen? Was I able to hide from the killer when he was going after everyone and get gens done? There's so much more to that game and to that killer that makes it a really fun and truly terrifying experience because as he is, the Legion isn't scary at all. He's super easy to play against and it doesn't even matter. So I feel like these few changes are going to be all it takes to encourage killers to not focus on the same person and give them a lot of power and reward for doing so. And it gives the survivors a reason to have to group up against this killer, even though that's a bad idea, which again makes the killer much more viable just because that's going to be the necessary strategy to make the game work. So I hope you like it and hope to see those changes made.